you're all set.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Ben Winograd chairing this meeting of the Finance Committee. We have on with us tonight committee members Deb Pullen and Minority Leader Mark Zdanowicz. We also have on council members Barry Fay and Tiffany McGinnis, as well as our town manager, corporation counsel. And thank you all for coming tonight. Calling the meeting to order and ask for a motion on approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. If there's no objection, we approve the minutes. And now we'll move on to the first business item. Mr. Ledwith, do you want to tell us about this aerator at Rockledge?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. So first up tonight, we do have a resolution appropriating $38,900 in capital non-recurring expense funds to purchase an aerator machine at Rockledge. And if you've ever seen an aerator in use at a golf course, you'll typically see somebody walking behind the aerator and punching holes into the green. And we have, over the years, essentially jury-rigged an aerator onto one of our tractors, so we're not pushing it, it's actually being driven on the green. And then for at least a couple times a year, we'll borrow a walk-behind aerator from another golf course on a limited basis to help us out. So this aerator will allow our superintendent to implement a real high-quality aerator process to our greens, using our aerator without having to rely on borrowing one from next door. And we generally aerate our greens at least twice per year. And then depending on the shape of the greens and what may happen during the course of a season, we could end up aerating them more than twice. So Helen Rubino Turco and Tim Nadu had informed us during the budgeting process that they would be making this request. So we do have adequate funds within the capital non-recurring expense account for this purchase. So if it were to be, we would move it forward to the council meeting on the 11th so that they could make that purchase within the next couple of weeks. And I'll pause there and through you, Mr. Chairman, turn it over to you and the council for any questions that you had.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? Mark, I had a feeling you were going to have a question about this one.
Well, other than using it at my house, no.
Right.
So Rick, you talked about them planning on the funding for it. Is it also kind of a purchase ordered already so that when the funding goes through, they can get it pretty quickly and not on back order, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, we're ready to go. So give us the okay, and we'll have it over at the golf course as soon as possible.
I'm surprised we don't have one already.
I know. Yeah, we had, like I said, we have the one on the tractor, and we do borrow one every single year. So this will, and we have, as everyone knows, we have an outstanding golf course of the highest quality. So Tim and his team would never not let the fact that we didn't own one impact the quality of our greens. So he's made it work, but it's time we had our own walk behind aerator.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Nope, I don't see any. All right, we can move on to the next item on block grants.
Yep. So so as the council knows, and we've talked about this at Human and Community Services a number of times. So we are in the process of renovating the Wolcott Park restroom building, and are on schedule to perform that renovation this summer. And we had previously, so the council had previously allocated $290,000 in community development block grant funds, and then we supplemented that with with capital improvement funds as well for an additional $335,000. So it was a total of $624,800 that we had budgeted. But we did go out to bid, and the lowest bid that we received, which is also the firm we want to go with, came in at $674,800, leaving us $50,000 short. So this resolution will appropriate $50,000 from our CBDG fund. And again, this would be on the council agenda for June 11th. And we would sign the contract, within a couple of days of June 11th, and the firm is ready to start the work this month as well. So, assuming that council was okay with this, we could begin this process before the end of the fiscal year. I'll pause there, and through you, Mr. Chairman, happy to answer any questions that the council had.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I just have a quick question through you, Mr. Chair. Do we know how long this process will take once they get going on the renovation?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman. So we would begin the project by the end of June, last week in June, and it will take us all summer. So it would be latter part of August or early part of September by the time they completed it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? That's all we have for business items. I know we have an executive session and some other items. Before I move on, just wanted to acknowledge our financial experts, Patty Lewis and Lisa Newton. Thank you for coming as well. And I come to the reports you've generated for us tonight. So thank you. Communications, I don't believe we have any, do we?
We do not. We would be at this point, Mr. Chairman, ready to go into what we'll start with is executive session. And we do have a tax appeal tonight for the committee to act on. And then following that, we would have a closed session where we would discuss the ratification of 2 collective bargaining agreements.
Very good. And then we'll come back to this meeting for the adjournment.
We will.
Okay, and we don't have to come back after the executive session, do we? We'll move directly from executive session into the non-meeting.
Is that okay, Deputy Corporation Counsel?
No, Mr. Chair, if you could come out of executive session and then take action on the proposed settlement. Thank you.
Can we adjourn prior to going into the meeting of regarding
Closed session.
the contract?
Right, so
Certainly.
you'll come out of executive session, hopefully take a motion and vote on the motion, and then you will close the meeting.
Okay,
Adjourn
and
the
then
meeting.
we'll close the adjourned meeting, and then we'll come back to have the non-meeting.
Yes.
Okay, want to save us one trip back and forth. All right, thank you very much. So we will be returning for business after our executive session.
So, Mr. Chair, you'll need a motion to go into executive session.
We do need that. You're right. Thank you. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chair,
We
Mr.
need to
Chair,
have
if I
the
could-
details.
if I could just add something that typically you'll want to state the reason for going into
Right.
executive session. And so if I understand the purpose of the executive session as indicated on the agenda is to discuss the strategy and negotiations with respect to the pending tax appeal. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we enter executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy and negotiations with respect to the following pending tax appeal, Bishop's Plaza LLC versus Town of West Hartford.
So moved.
So seconded. Yeah, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now can we go, Gina? Now we're good. All right. We will head to
Okay.
executive session and we will be back in a bit. Thank you. All right. Hello. All right.
We lost Rick.
We lost Rick, and then once Rick comes back, we'll wait for WHCI to tell us when we're good to go.
I've actually left the stream going, so when everyone is back, you can just continue.
All right, thank you very much. I don't think we need Rick for this.
I'll just shoot him a text real quick. How's that?
Okay. And while we're waiting, I'll acknowledge that Councilor Blanks has joined us, as well as Councilor Barry Walters is still here, and Tiffany McGinnis, as well as our members of the committee. Well, let's just move forward. We're back from executive session. I move to ratify the settlement of the pending tax appeal, Bishop's Plaza LLC versus Town of West Hartford, as to the 2021 grand list. The fair market value of the land and buildings located at 2550 Albany Avenue is $13,715,050. And as to the 2022 grand list, the fair market value of the land and buildings located at 2550 Albany Avenue is $14,015,050.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that matter? None seen. Call for a voice vote. All those in favor, please indicate with an aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. And here's Rick. With that, we will adjourn the meeting and move on to our non-meeting regarding collective bargaining. Thank you all for attending, and we can end the stream. Thank you.
Do we, Ben, do we have another link for that?
The same link we had for the executive session.
Okay, thank you.
Back to that one.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. See you all then.